do we, when we're never really on the other side, but how do we support their recovery without creating new entitlements financially, and like how do we help support them and create boundaries that will create an expectation of you're not just going to live here for the next 5 years rent free, and like what does that look like? Pursuing your education, like what are my but you still want to support their recovery and not create stressors that, you know what I mean? Like, so how do we give them forward momentum in our parental boundaries, but still support their recovery when they're kind of out of the program and finish with school and things like that?
Okay, so I really think that regardless of whether your kid is, 16 or 66, sober or not, that you want to find your own way of sending a really strong message to them that, like, I'm your parent, I love you, I'm never going to accept a lifestyle from you that's unhealthy, period. And you have to decide whether or not sobriety, as they continue to grow into their adult years, is a piece of that or not. Like when I think of recovery, I think of it as like a pie chart. And sobriety is one of the slices of the pie chart, but there are other components that go into like recovery as a whole. I don't necessarily believe that somebody has to be sober, if you will, to still live a principle-based life, or to still have recovery in their lives. That being said, most of us who suffer from substance abuse, dependence, addiction, whatever you want to call it, wherever we may fall on that spectrum, or self-destructive behaviors like history with depression or anxiety, or self-harm, or eating disorder, or, the list goes on and on, other compulsive behaviors. Most of us are going to need a lifetime of tough love from our families, and specifically from our parents. And the definition of tough love is that love is not accepting wrong behavior. So I don't care if you're sober or not sober, how old you are, I'm never going to accept wrong behavior from you. I'm never going to accept a lifestyle from you that is unhealthy. And so when they're adults, that obviously it's like a little bit of an art, a little bit of a science. So it's going to look a little different based off of what your boundaries are, what you can and can't accept or live with, depending on what you are seeing in their behavior. But I think that there are some like guideposts there, if you will, as far as like, and this is I'm kind of branching off here a little bit, but this is kind of like what a good teacher or sponsor or counselor will do. They'll kind of like tell you where to look, but not tell you what to see. You got to see whatever it is that you see, but they're going to give you the direction. They're going to be like, well, you should look over here and see what you find, kind of thing. So in the interest of that, I would say, like, as far as me directing you where to look, I would say look at what you determine is and isn't an unhealthy lifestyle from your child, regardless of their age, and whether or not sobriety specifically falls under that category of unhealthy lifestyle. Some of your kids, they are addicts. Probably not all of your kids, and I can't paint anybody with a brush and give them that label. We self-diagnose. But some of your kids are addicts, and for the rest of their lives, they're most likely, I don't want to speak in absolutes, but they're most likely never going to be able to have any kind of healthy lifestyle or manageable lifestyle that involves using drugs or alcohol. So that's just, for some of you guys, that's just the reality. And some of your kids, not so much. Some of your kids got in trouble when they were teenagers, were acting out in self-destructive behavior. Thank God they had parents that loved them so much that they intervened when they did. they learn some skills and are going to be able to go on as adults and be really great moms, dads, husbands, wives, have awesome careers, and probably be able to drink a little bit, socially, or have a glass of wine at dinner, or whatever, and it not wreck their lives, right? Like, everybody's going to fall somewhere different on the spectrum, and I can't really tell you with any great level of intelligence who's where. I could tell if you wanted me to, I could dress down each one of your kids based off of like my experience, my observation of them, and like working with them. I could probably tell you, yeah, they're probably an addict, or this one, might be okay. The one thing that I will tell you is that if they've continued to have that strong family support, which doesn't mean perfect family support, that's an illusion, but the strong family support of like holding the boundaries, keeping the bar high, being really clear with what my boundaries are. I have to get clear with what my boundaries are and what I'm okay with before I can be clear with others, and continuing to take care of myself. If we've got that and they've got some healthy friends, they're probably going to be okay, regardless, even if they are addicts, because, I am, but if they've got that, if they've got the strong family support and they've got some healthy friends, they're probably, going to be okay. Anything you would add to that?
Yeah. I think, well, I can speak for myself and what I think works for me and what I think works for a lot of teens is like, so I'm 21. I still live with my parents. They graciously let me stay there while I work and go to school and develop myself. But I know that if my parents told me I had to go to college, or I have to do this, I have to do that, it makes me less likely to do those things or get stressed out about them and not want to do it nearly as much. It was a gentle push, or them being interested and involved in my life and being like, hey, like, what do you want to do? Like, what's this? Like, how can we help you to move forward, to like become, or to get educated, to do this? And that was so much more successful with me is reaching out, getting involved with my life and my interests, and then helping me reach those goals that I had. Because again, like, I think the whole, you need to go to school, like I know for myself and for a lot of the kids here, it does not work when you tell them they need to go do this. So that's been the biggest thing for me, is just whenever my parents, and I feel like they're very good at this, so being involved and helping me in a loving, caring way, while also being tough about it. Like, hey, if this is your goal, this is what you're set to do, like, then you're gonna do it because you said you would. So yeah, that's all I have to add.
Cool. Yeah, make it quick.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I just want to add something else too. So the Yates allowed my son and I to come live into their homes. They established the rules for my son, and they established the rules for me to live in there. And I'm an adult, but I need to follow the rules of their home. So it doesn't change whether your kid is 19, 30, or whatever. I'm 50. If I wasn't following the rules of the Yates home, they would be like, we're so sorry you can't live here, right? So it still needs to maintain regardless of where they're at. But, so each family needs to make their own decision of what the rules in their home is. And if your child needs to work a recovery program still outside of Cornerstone, then that's your rule. And if they're not doing that, that's their decision. They can do that elsewhere. So that's, to me, that's how you support. And so just to kind of give that example, and thank you to the Yates for letting me do that. And for my son too. They allowed a kid that was active in his addiction to come into their home and just really establish that. And because they were clear with it, things were fine. So.
Cool.